I rise today to state my opposition to 4369. This piece of legislation that is really an expansion of the EAA. You can call it whatever you want, but when this left our chamber last March, this was about the EAA. And now what we're doing with the expansion and the codification of the EAA is creating a statewide school district. We are creating a statewide school district. And within that, we are giving all the rights of a school district to this statewide entity. When I first came and got elected and came to this chamber and heard the conversation last March, I was told that we had to vote on it immediately, that this was a resounding success. The chancellor of this program said the test scores have improved. We have to expand and we have to codify. The reality is, you all wanted this done last year because you didn't want the MEP results out. And now we actually have the facts. We actually have the figures. And they don't warrant an expansion, nor do they warrant codification. I was thinking, if any one of us had a sick relative, a daughter, a husband, a wife, and you were going to a hospital, would you want to go to that hospital that 24% of the patients said we would never go back to? Would you go to that hospital when 66% of the people who went to get treated for the flu actually got worse because they went in there? Would you go in to that same hospital if 37% of the people had a cough and they actually got worse because they went to that hospital? Would you go to that hospital that had at 2 different points in time needed to be bailed out? Would you go to that hospital? And would you go to a hospital that weren't taking the best surgeons and the best doctors, but were giving you medical students and residents? I don't think you would. But that's what we're doing today with this bill. To those 10, maybe 11 members who have now moved this to passage, I speak to you. I hope that you have asked the tough questions about the buzz curriculum, the fact that we're putting kids in front of computers instead of in front of books. I hope you've asked the tough questions about the teachers and made sure that we're getting the best teachers and master teachers to this body. I hope that you talk about the leadership of this institution. Privately, I've had a number of people who are supporting this bill have shown concern for the leadership and had hopes that the leadership would change. But we are now giving the authority for this EAA to expand and take on more districts and more schools. I hope you've asked them about one of the amendments that we had talked about charter schools. Will this new bill allow statewide charters out of this new district across the state? My reading of it is that it does. And that means now there's going to be new schools potentially in every one of our districts, regardless of whether or not we have failing schools. I wish we would have an ombudsman who would listen to these teachers, who would listen to these students, and make sure that these things have been followed up on. Because we've heard the stories, and unfortunately, this crisis continues. To this day, we've not rectified these situations. And then I'm just confused. We had a series of amendments that added ISDs, and right now my reading of that is, to get out of the ISD as a failing school, you have to be there for 3 years. It's showing progress. But if you're under the authority, it takes you 4 years. In your rush to get this done, you couldn't even sync those up together, so they had the same years and the same system? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So, my friends, I stand up here today to say we need to oppose this bill. Because I will tell you, if your school in your community did not show proficiency by 78% of the students in math, 58% of the students in reading didn't show any progress, that 24% of the students just walked away from that school because the parents didn't trust that school, if your school gave up because they had 2 different points in time where they had to be bailed out financially, guess what you would do? You would create an EAA to take over the EAA. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Singh.